Hello, it's Claire and I'm here to do my Flosstube update. I haven't done an update since December and today it is February the 18th, 2018, so this is my first update of this year. I've got a few things to show you to get through, and then I thought I'd start with an update of some WIPs. I've got some finishes, a few things that I've purchased, and then I've got a little bit of quilting stuff to show you as well, thrown into the mix as well. So let's get started. Hopefully the light's okay. You can see there's some light coming in behind me. It's a bit of an overcast day, but it's February, so that's kind of what you expect this time of year. It was actually quite nice this morning. It was sunny. I went out and did my 5k walk with my friends this morning, so that was quite nice. I think we got the best of the weather and now it's just a bit of a cold grey Sunday afternoon, so what better time to do a Flosstube update, hey? So what have I done since I last saw you? Lots of little things. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, there are some projects that have been going on for quite a long time. I've touched none of them. I decided that I needed to do a few different things, and I wasn't bored of my WIPs, but I just fancied something different. So I went and found lots of small WIPs. So one of the first things that I did last month was I was looking for a pattern, couldn't find it. So I had to sort through my stash, and all of my kind of small projects I've now gathered all together in this basket here. And I did find the one I was looking for, and I have since started it. But you know when you've got a pattern in your stash and you just don't know where it was? My organisation isn't great when it comes to cross stitch. I've got it in quite a few different places, so it's generally in one or other of the place. I decided actually what I need somewhere that I can put it all together. So I now have a little basket of of patterns all together, and I really enjoyed doing this. Actually, it quite inspired me to think actually there's lots of quite small things in here, like this little one from the trilogy. What's that called? Called Love Tree. I've had this for years, but just never stitched it. So kind of pulling it out and having a look through stuff I've already got, it's a bit like next time I want to buy something new, I might actually just try coming shopping from my own basket. So I have that. One of the first new ones I started was like most people in the Flosstube world, I've been watching Priscilla and Chelsea, the Real Housewives of cross stitch, and I joined in one of their SALs. So I'll just take it out of the wrapper because I think with that sun it is going to be a bit of a glare. I've been doing the Country Cottage needlework, and this is called Forest Snowfall. And this was a stitch along for Priscilla's birthday, which I believe was the 28th of December. And I did start it on the 28th of December, but unfortunately I was sick all over Christmas, so I got sick just before Christmas. Managed to drive home on the Saturday before Christmas. Christmas was the Monday, and pretty much spent the next week either sitting on a sofa watching TV, which is fine because it was Christmas and there was lots to watch, or in bed. Just nasty virus, cold kind of thing that really knocked me for six. So Christmas was a bit of a blur this year, and I was lucky because I had the week off between Christmas and New Year, so I didn't have to worry about work. But I did when I went back to work on I think I went back to work on the Tuesday after New Year. I still wasn't very well, and then ended up having to take a couple of days sick leave because I just hadn't recovered from it. So stitching took a little bit of a hit in that time. In fact, I did very little. But I did start this one. Let's find something to hold behind it. That'll work. And I've worked on and off on this one since then. I have changed the fabric. So this is, which way? Probably that way is better. A 32 count petite point linen. That I chose to work on. I liked it because that kind of white dots makes it look a little bit like Snowfall. So quite appropriate with the name of it. I think one of the things, it slowed me down at the beginning because I wasn't very well, but then I got slowed down because there was a few things that I'm not quite certain about. So the first one is I've done this snowflake at the top here. Actually, it looks better on camera than it does on real life. I think I look at it and I can't actually see it particularly well. Although looking like that, I can now see it. So I wasn't sure whether I wanted to add something or maybe change something up about this one. I haven't made a decision. So I was going along on the border and thought I need to stop while I think about it. So I thought I'll move on to the words because I started on the border, and I was going quite well on the word. It's funny that I can't get the word out, isn't it? I was doing quite well on the wording. And it wasn't until I was stitching it that I suddenly appreciated, actually, it's got American spelling of neighbours in it. So it's our neighbours from. And when I looked at the pattern, I thought, actually, I want to spell it with the UK spelling. So I'd stitched a fair bit of it, and then I had to kind of take some out. And then I've kind of moved things around slightly so that I could get that extra U in neighbours in. And part of what that did is it then threw off this end line because this is all aligned. So I've had to go back, and I have moved things slightly on the rows above, mainly by just moving the comma out slightly. So I think I've moved that one. I think it looks like I've still got to move that one. But I did the adjustments, and I thought, I need to step back from it for a bit and see if I'm happy with it, because I wasn't happy. I'd moved the up in the row below, so I'd kind of, where is it? I kind of squished this one along, but I wasn't happy with it, so I put it back to how it was. But actually looking at it, I was a bit worried that it might look a bit crowded, but I think it will look okay. So I probably will stick with that and make those changes. But I wanted to keep working on it, so I thought, right, okay, well, I think about the lettering, I'll leave the lettering and I'll come and work on the house. And I've made so many mistakes on this house. Well, not necessarily mistakes, but when I looked at it, I wasn't sure if the colour for the house blended too much with the fabric. So I wanted to try a different colour. So I actually, and you can see there's still some fluffy bits kind of lurking around here. I need to go over it a little bit better. So I'd stitched almost all of the house in the colour that I had. And I looked at it, I usually stitch in the evening, and it came to the weekend like today, and I looked at it and I thought, actually, do you know what, in the natural light, I don't like the new colour that I'd used. I can't remember what it was, but it was a darker beige, but it had quite a pinky undertone, and I didn't think it looked right. So I took all of that out, went through all of my different over-dyed threads to look at what I thought might be a good match, and actually what I ended up using was the original thread. So I've just started restitching it. So I'm enjoying this one, but it's been a little bit more challenging than I thought it would be, and I know a lot of people out there have joined in a stitch along, and quite a few people have finished, including Priscilla. But yeah, I'm a little bit behind. So what I need to do as well is, there's a reason this thread is hanging, and I need to look at it while it's light, so I'll do it while I've got it out, is that I think actually that is the colour that I was going to stitch it in when I changed it, and I think a random thread has made its way back in, and in the light, under my hot light, I was thinking, this doesn't look like the right colour, and it's not actually, so I do need to pull that out. So again, that's why I just stopped there, because I thought, well, I don't want to stitch anymore just in case it's the wrong colour. So now I know that that's not right, I can sort that up over there, and I can sort that out. Excuse me. Honestly, I had this it was such a bad cold over Christmas, it took me quite a few weeks to recover, and I still just seem to have this lingering cough, so I apologise if I cough throughout this. I have got a drink and I am going to have to use it. Right. I then looked at this project you will have seen before. This is a Lizzy Kate pattern, sorry, that's my really bad local accent. This is Be Jolly by Lizzy Kate, and I'd started this, I think I started it in November, so I would have shown this in my December video. And I think at the time I was working, I'd started in the middle of the houses, and I was working, I think, on this row of speciality stitches. What ones are they? Algerian eyelet stitch, which I'd never done before, so I thought, I've got all these patterns with speciality stitches in, I need to start practicing them. And I now have on here a finish. So this it came semi-kitted, so I think the speciality threads came with the pattern, and then this linen, it is a linen, I think it's just a 32 count. I'm not sure, it might be a mushroom colour. It's looking a bit washed out on screen actually, is that a better colour? But it was just something I pulled from my stash, from my collection. And I didn't have the exact beads that you were supposed to use for the representing the snow, but I just looked at what I had in my stash. These are a little bit big, but I'm fine with that, so I didn't want to spend, you know, whatever it is, I think it's about £2.60 or something for Mill Hill beads. Is it that much, or is it £1.60? Either way, I didn't want to go out and spend additional money that I didn't have to spend when I had something in my stash that would work equally well. I'm not actually participating in Stitch from Stash this year. I did it last year, so the first half of the year, and I did that quite successfully, and I ended up with quite a bit of credit because I finished a couple of big pieces. I made a conscious choice not to start it this time because that worked really well for me, because it did change my way of looking at what I've got and thinking about what I had in my stash. And as you've seen, I have, you know, this box here, this is just smalls. This doesn't have any of my mirrors or lavender laces or Prairie Schoolers, you know, the bigger A4 kind of patterns. They're all in a separate place, you know. And then, you know, I haven't got a huge amount, but I have got a few kits knocking about as well. To try and just be a little bit more thoughtful about using what I've got in my stash first. So I'm trying to still stick with the Stitch from Stash, so use what I've got, but then if I am looking to buy something, I'm trying to do some thoughtful buying, so actually looking to kit up some of the stuff I've got rather than going all out and getting new stuff. So something I found when I was getting all my small kits together was I found a little Mill Hill kit, which again I've had for a little while. I don't know why I haven't stitched it, I just haven't. And this is called Spring Bouquet, and this is one of the ones that comes with a magnet for it. It's actually called Rabbit Ride. I thought it was cute. And so this one, as you won't be surprised to see, was a you start and a finish. So there's my, see that? It's quite difficult white against white. Hopefully you saw something, maybe if I held it up against something that's brown. No, that doesn't make any difference, does it? But I really enjoyed this one, and I don't know if you can see, but the way the tail's done, where you do kind of like little bead loops, that was really good fun to do, and really quick and easy as well. So, and when I did this, it kind of reminded me, somebody asked a really good question on Stitch Mania a while ago, and it was kind of that comment about, you know, comments about how we feel about our projects, and it was kind of along the lines of what is fun for you to stitch. And I had a really good think about that, because I enjoy stitching. I like stitching lots of different things, but there are definitely things that I find more enjoyable than others, and I think sometimes it's to do with circumstances. So it's winter here in the UK this time of year. It gets dark fairly early. I mean, it's starting to get lighter in the evenings now, but it's still dark, kind of lights on by about 5:30 in the afternoon, well, yeah, early evening. So working under, you know, that means that by the time I actually sit down to stitch later in the evening, it's under artificial light. And it can be quite difficult sometimes just to see what you're doing. So picking up something like this, where it's got really big holes that are really easy to see, that felt really fun to do. I actually really enjoyed stitching that, which is probably why I did it in about 2 evenings, because one, I picked up as well because I felt like doing some beading, so I wanted to get all the stitching done so I could get to the beading, and then once I started doing the beading I just did it all in one sitting because I was enjoying it so much. So yeah, that was a really fun project. And because I enjoyed it so much, when I'd looked through my stash, I also found this little kit. So this is Starlight Santas, or one of the Starlight Santas, and this one is Southern Cross Santa. And I've had this, I think I bought it last year actually. I think I bought it with some money from my birthday. So I've made a start on Starlight Santa. Can you see? So I've actually got very little stitching left to do, and again the reason he came to a standstill was because I was stitching at night, and this is the wrong shade of gold that I've used in the hat. So that needs, I looked at this in the light yesterday, realised this was the wrong colour. I've now lined up all the right colours to use because it's really only his hat and his face, and then I'll be able to start beading. Although this one is a Mill Hill kit, there's not a great deal of beading in this one, but I do really like these Santas. So that's that one. So that's still a work in progress, and I might get him done this afternoon, so I'm going to put him to the active pile. Over a few weeks ago there was an announcement on, I think it was on Stitch Mania it came up, but it might have come up on a few things, and I know some Floss-tubers have talked about it, about the Gift of Stitching digital magazine, which I think it's a lady who runs it, is basically shutting down the business. So there was big discounts on getting the subscription to all of the magazines. Now again, trying to be very thoughtful about how I'm spending my money, and really about, I don't need any cross stitch stuff, but that doesn't mean that I don't want some cross stitch stuff. So I took my time with it because I was really debating, do I just buy the whole lot, because actually it's really good value, but it's January, and like a lot of people in January, I don't have a lot of money in January because Christmas. So actually I think I came back to buying 5 of the magazines, which I'm really happy with, and I really like the ones I've got. And after I did it I was like, oh, these are all really good, there's something I want to stitch in all of them. Maybe I should just suck it up and buy the whole year, but I haven't. I have completely resisted, and I think I'm okay. I think I am okay with that decision. But having bought it, I did decide that I'd like to stitch something from it. So I found, and I should have looked it up, the details, but if I remember I'll try to put them in the box down below. There were some Christmas ornaments, so I bought, I think there was either 2 or 3 of the magazines I bought had Christmas decorations in them. One of them was definitely the one with the rose garden chatelaine in it, because why wouldn't you buy a chatelaine, design for, I think it was £1.63 it works out. I mean, that's a bit of a no-brainer, so I did definitely buy that. But I found this little Christmas decoration. Oh, I don't know if you can see. So it's very tiny. This is the front. And then this one will be the back. Now I need to investigate it a bit because I'm not sure if you can put it together a bit like a biscornu, but I don't think that's how they've done it in the pattern, but I think that's what I would like to try. And I stitched this with a Jodyri design thread, which I probably should have pulled out. I'm looking because I think it's somewhere over there, but I'm not going to be able to, I've got a table here, I'm not going to be able to reach it without loads of stuff cascading on the floor, because again, anyone who does Flosstube videos, it creates a lot of there's a lot of stuff around me, it's not easy to move around, so I kind of sit myself down and pile everything around me so that I can kind of pull things up in a semi-smooth manner when I'm doing these videos. But again, I'll try and put it with the details of the magazine. And then this was just fabric that I had in my stash. It is a 32 count linen, and it's got a sparkle running through it, which I don't know if that comes across on the screen. It's a massive bit of fabric. I mean, that's still folded 4 times. It's a really massive bit of fabric, but I thought, actually that'd be quite nice to contrast the thread against, have a little bit of sparkle, and so that's kind of ready to do into a finishing project at some point. I then, and this is the one that led me to look for some really easy stitching and really made me think about that question, what makes stitching fun? Because this would probably be the definition of what doesn't make stitching fun. And this is a hands-on design by, it's a design by hands-on, I'm losing my words today. It's a hands-on design pattern. It's part of a Year in Chalk series. And this one, I always think it's the May one. but it's actually the March one, which is the giveaway because it's got the 4-leaf green clover in the middle. But because it's got the word May on it, I always think it's the May pattern. But I've got all of these. I've stitched January, I've stitched February. I thought I need to crack on because I actually, don't get me wrong, and I'm saying, you know, what makes it not fun. It's not the pattern. It's not any of that. It's the fabric, and it is this dreaded. What is it called? It probably tells me on here. Yeah, the 30 count weeks dye work gunmetal. But as you can see, I've stitched it and I've finished it. And that was quite hard work at night under artificial light, trying to find the holes. And this fabric is really, really floppy fabric. So I did forget actually before I started stitching that Sherry Burkett has got this fabric as well. She was saying to spray it with some spray starch, and I have got some. So before I attempt the next one, so April, I will spray it. But I think I might just wait a little bit until it's slightly lighter in the evenings to make it a little bit easier on my eyes, because that was quite testing, made it quite hard work. But yeah, quite pleased with that. Still going with new starts. I think I've got 2 more. So the next one I just started yesterday. So what I decided for 2018 was somebody mentioned having a new start on the 18th of every month, and that's what I've done. Although it's only been 2 months. I started the January one, which was the Mill Hill kit. Mill Hill kit? I think it was the Mill Hill kit. I started on the 7th. No, it was the Christmas decoration. This was my new start and finish. It ended up being for January, although I actually started it on the 19th. I think I was doing something on the 18th, but you know, you get the idea. Today is the 18th, but I actually started this one yesterday on the 17th. So I'm being a little bit flexible with how this works, but actually I had a bit of time yesterday evening, and I thought I'm on a deadline for this one, because this one I am actually going to be stitching. I am stitching this as a gift, and the one I've chosen to stitch is this one here. So you can see the quilters up here. And this is a Prairie Schooler chart. It's one of the original ones, and it's book number 114, and it's called The Needle's Eye. So I started this last night, and I am stitching it on an 18 count oatmeal Rustico Ada, which is a Zweigart. Is that how you say it? A Zweigart fabric. So that's what this one is. I think I shared with you, I went through all of my, I've been having a bit of a sort out. I went through all of my fabric last year, I think about November time, because it was all in plastic bags. So I've taken it all out. I had a label thing, bought some little labels, and I have now got it all out and labelled all my fabric. So a level of organisation is occurring. The pattern, Prairie Schoolers have a pattern on the back, so you can't use that. But and I'm stitching on this at the moment, so there is a needle. Let me just probably take the needle off. This is where I've got to. There you go. So I'm working on, this is a 3371 brown black. So I'm working on doing, because there's a lot of kind of almost like outlining you can do to the pattern on this one in terms of the chair and the bottom border. I'm going to change what's written in the bottom border, because at the moment it says from me to you and it's got these pair of hands. I'm going to personalise it in that bit down there. And I'm probably going to make this into a pillow finish. It's actually a lot smaller than I thought it would be. It's quite a small design, which is good because my deadline for having it fully finished is mid-March. So I will be working on this. I'm going to go back to working on this today, hoping to get all of that brown work finished and hopefully a start on the dresses this afternoon. But I'm going to keep working on that until it's pretty much until it's finished. I think, no, I've got one more whip. So beginning of January, I've done it for the last, I did it a couple of years ago and I did it again this time. I decided I wanted to start a new mirror. I know this is actually a Nora Corbett, so that's not completely correct what I've just said. But I had this in my stash. I bought this, I think I bought this at Retreat the year before last. And I really love this one. And I wanted to start her. always makes you think of Angelina Jolie, the way she's got her leg out. And I bought some fabric when I went to the last retreat in Milton Keynes from Sparkly's. Somewhere, which is this lovely material. Actually, that's not a bad representation of it. I think it's probably just a little bit darker than that. And this is what I was intending to stitch on it, but I got a little bit confused, and I happen to have a different fabric, and I can't remember what this is called, but it's a Pole Stitches design fabric, which is fairly similar, but quite a bit lighter. But the mottling is fairly the same, and I believe it's the same count, so a 32 count. I made a start on her, and that's how far I've got. So you can see I've got this part of the arch done, and I've made a fair bit of progress. So I decided to stitch it slightly differently than I normally would tackle it. So I stitch a lot of the black, and then I've been going in with that kind of purpley red colour to fill it in. And again, I'm really enjoying stitching this one actually, and it's quite a small, so that's really the extent of the size of it. So you can see it extends a little bit out here, but there's not much. This is kind of the main body of her done. So she's got a hat. She's got a hat. How can I lose the pattern? I'm sat here. Oh, there it is. She's got kind of a hat, lots more kind of red on the skirt to go, and then this skull, I think it is, at the top, skull with wings to go as well. But I've got all of she's all DMC, and there's not much beads. I think there's only one colour bead used in this one, but so I've got that. So she's all ready to go, and I'm really enjoying that one actually. But I've put that one aside so that I can focus on the Prairie Schooler stitch that I'm doing. And that's it. That's all of my works in progress, and finishes. I can tell I've not done this for a while. I'm completely losing all my words. I did put out a few other things that I could show you. So another reason not doing stitch from stash, because I knew that some of the stuff that I wanted to get would take me over the budget that I could set. But still, you know, I am still being careful. But one of the things I knew I wanted to do was I wanted to take part in this SAL. So the Farmhouse series by Little House Needlework. So this is Little Red Barn. I'm sure you've seen this because lots of people are doing it. Lots of people have already finished this, but I've signed up for the stitch along, which includes, it's not a stitch along. I've signed up for an auto delivery with the Patchwork Rabbit to get this one, so I've got the threads that I would need. I haven't actually chosen my fabric for this one. I'm a little bit kind of watching and waiting to see what everybody else does, and when I see the one that really I think, oh yeah, that's the one I really like, I will copy their idea mercilessly and claim all credit for it. No, not at all. I like to see what other people do, especially when I know lots of people are stitching this, and I've seen lots of different fabric used. So I'm just going to wait and see. But I am also kind of hoping that I might be able to stitch it from stash. And I'm also thinking that I'd like to do them as separate pieces rather than big ones, because I've got it is good, but the big Country Cottage Santa's Village, which is quite a big piece for Christmas. I've also got my 6 snowmen, which is a fair size. So I don't know how many more kind of bigger stuff that I want just for Christmas. So they might end up being small individual ornaments. And this little bit that I'm waving around is the, it does show you how to put them together. And that was included in my auto ship. I presume it comes from Lizzy Kate, but not Lizzy Kate. Why would Lizzy Kate be sending it out? Little House Needleworks. So I don't know if just Carla at the Patchwork Rabbit has printed it out for us, which would be really lovely if she's done that. So thank you very much, because it saves me going to search for it. I did have another new start lined up, but I kind of held off on it because with the shenanigans, shall we say? Not shenanigans, but with the whole thing about the wording in the Forest Snowfall, when I pulled this one out, this was going to be my January 18th start, and it was quite a big one. But I've been wanting to stitch this for a while, and I picked up this lovely fabric. This is by Sparklies as well. She does some lovely fabric, Kate. This is called in the colourway Parchment, and this is a 28 count Jaslyn even weave. I don't know if you can see that one, but it's got a very subtle mottling to it. It's really lovely, and it's really, really soft. There's no starchiness or crunchiness in this fabric at all. So I chose the fabric for this pattern, and the one that I've chosen is this one. So this is, I have to look at what it's called. It's called Frolic in the Foliage. I managed to get that out. And this is Blue Ribbon Designs chart. And I've had it for a while, and I just love all the colours in it. There you go. So I have got everything ready to start. The thing that stopped me is, having done this Forest Snowfall, I appreciated the spelling here again is a US spelling of coloured. So I looked at it and I thought, what I really want to do is I would want to rechart it so that it has the U in it. And I need to think about that. And I mean, I could stitch everything else above it, but what I didn't want to do is get down to the bottom and then be really frustrated because I couldn't work it out and then shove it in a drawer for 4 years, because I have a little bit of a history of doing that with patterns. So, and I did think maybe I should just email the designer and say, has anyone else asked you to do that with an English spelling? Because it should be pretty, I should think it could be done, because there looks like there's space to kind of move it out, to stretch out the wording. I might do that. Do you know, I might just do that this afternoon. I'll put it in that pile. So that's a to be started, but I won't start that one until I've finished definitely the Mill Hill and definitely the Prairie Schooler. Then I'll move on to that. But I have got some other stitching that I am trying to focus on at the moment, which is not cross stitch. So if you are here for cross stitch, I completely understand if you want to go. So thank you for visiting, and I shall see you next time. For those of you that have stayed, you might know that I'm a bit of an amateur quilter. I like to dabble. I claim no expert level in this at all. I've probably been doing it about 5 years. Still can't get my seams to match all the time, and you know, I'm not the best cutter, and I'm not anyway. But I enjoy it, and I do it. A lot of it I do it for the social side, because I go to classes every month. And I posted on Instagram last weekend, I think it was, because I had a big finish. So a quilt that I've been working on for a couple of years. It's the one that I did for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, who have just celebrated their 51st wedding anniversary. The quilt top is finally finished. And if I can figure out how to do it, I will insert a photograph of that, either here or at the end. If I can't figure that out, because you know, I'm waiting for Danielle Stitcherista to do a video on how to insert photographs, I might just drop her a line, say that. She's been doing lots of helpful videos on all of these things recently. And thank you, I should say thank you to her as well, because when I was stuck with something, I did ask her a question about editing, and I have downloaded new software to my computer, the same that she uses, to help with editing, because you can't do the same editing that you used to do in YouTube. Anyway, I digress. So that's one quilt finished, which I'm so excited about, to finally have that done. I have got other quilts in the works. So one of the ones that we're currently working on in the class is a Japanese style quilt. I don't have a picture of the overall finish, but I'll try and remember to take one next time I'm there. But I know that I've shown some of the squares that we've been doing in the classes. There are a couple of these that are the same, but this is basically so you get an idea of the colourways that I'm using. So I've gone for this kind of, I think it's like the kind of cherry blossom, very reminiscent. I've never been to Japan, but I would love to go and see the cherry blossom. As soon as I knew that we were going to be doing this quilt, I knew which colours I was going to use. So, and this kind of, I like pink with charcoal grey, although it does really remind me of my school uniform. So I'm not quite sure why I chose it, but yeah, I still love all the colours that I've chosen. So we've done a lot of the kind of these patchwork squares, but these are going to be interspersed with, got 4 corners here as well. These are going to be interspersed with some, I believe it's called shishiko. I should have looked that up before I started, but a style of Japanese embroidery. So some of the squares, you see that? It looks really crumpled in this. I haven't ironed these yet. Kind of patterns which then will intersperse. So there's that one. I call that jigsaw, but I think it's called birds. I've got a book on order which explains all of these patterns. And then I've got this repeating pattern here, which the border is all going to be hand embroidered. So I've got a lot of hand embroidering to do. But I also thought I would just show you my fish because I was quite pleased with the fish. Isn't that lovely? So yeah, so that's going, and actually I want to get this done in the next few weeks. So I'm on a bit of a personal deadline to get this finished. So I've got 5 more of these size squares to hand embroider. So I'm going to kind of work on those in the next 2 weeks because I should be able to get basically each one of these. So this one, I think it takes about an hour for me to hand stitch those. Give or take, but actually I don't know if you can see it's kind of faded a little bit. All of the material is it's all hand gridded, and the gridding takes quite a lot of time to do. So I've got a few that are gridded up. There's a different one, squares. I've got a few that are gridded up, but I've got some still that I need to grid to be able to finish them. So that's that project. So that's going to be taking my focus for the next few weeks, and I'm saying that because it probably means that and the Prairie Schooler might be the only things that I work on. Hopefully the Mill Hill kit as well before I do another update. I mean, that partly depends on when I do my next update. So the next thing I've got is just a few purchases, and I don't have a great deal because again I'm trying to be very thoughtful about what I buy, still with that kind of stitch from stash principle about, you know, looking at your stash first and then working out really what I need. No need for anything but what I need, and going from there. So I did look, the fabric shop where I do the quilting, they are actually changing hands, and so some changing is going on, but they had a January sale, so some of the things you'll see here was from the sale. So I did pick up this rather lovely fabric. I didn't know if this is what Priscilla and Chelsea meant when they were talking about homespun fabric. I don't think it is from what they said yesterday. I think it meets the criterion that it is cotton, but what they were saying is that you have the same pattern on the front and the back, and it does have the same pattern on the front and on the back, but this is a kind of a brushed cotton. I don't know if that comes across, but it's a really nice kind of red plaid with a bit of kind of beigey colour in there. So soft, it really is lovely and soft, but I thought this would be quite nice for backing projects, and it was really good value because it was in the sale as well. So I've actually got a metre of that one there. I did succumb in terms of quilts because, I mean, how many quilts can a girl have? But I really love quilts, and this is one. They didn't do this as a class, but they did the block as a class, but not the quilt as a series of classes, workshops, if that makes sense. But I've loved this, and I finally gave in and bought it in the sale. And this is a Scandi style quilt, and it's got these, you can see these stars here. So I don't know if I've shown the block that I made with this. I did it in the grey colourway, but I actually decided to go with the red for the quilt, and I thought, you know, that would be a really nice project to kind of keep and have in the cupboard. And I like to stroke it every so often because it is beautiful. So yeah, so I'm very pleased that I got that, and one day it will be a beautiful quilt. Also in the sale, they were doing half price on their mirabilias that they had. They don't have a huge amount, but I did pick these 2 up. So these are Maiden of the Seasons, and this is Maiden of the Seasons 2. So I'm guessing you would do them together. So I really like these ones. They're so beautiful. Even, I mean, like the borders are just stunning, aren't they? But I did come home. I didn't do it at the time, but I probably should have. But I came home and I looked at what they're stitched in. And this one in particular has, goodness, I don't know how far down it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 needle paints floss requirements, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different beads, one Kreinik or Kreinik, I can never remember which way round. This one is, I believe, more DMC, but equally seems to have a long list of beads in it as well. So these are not going to be cheap ones to stitch, but they'll add to my collection for now. In my or on my to-do list and in my little basket, I have, where are they? Been collecting these ones, the little house needlework sheep. So I've got, I don't think I've got all of them yet. I think I'm still 3 short, because I think each time I go and have a look there's some that are out of stock, so I haven't managed to get them yet, but I will. And I also have, I think you've all seen the one that's in the middle, haven't you? These are semi in order, she says. Maybe they're not in order. That one, the sheep in the meadow. So I'm all ready to go from that perspective. I think these are these DMC? It looks like they're all DMC, which is good. What I didn't have was fabric, and I saw the update by our lovely Nell, who's looking fabulous, and I loved the way that hers was looking, so I left her a message and she very kindly answered and told me that hers was stitched on a 32 count Zweigart linen in the colourway Dirty. So I have purchased my linen to go with it, because the colours really showed up beautifully on it. So I am actually all ready to go with this one, but I haven't got a plan to start it just yet, because as I said, I've got some other things that I want to do first. It might just, if I get the other stuff done, this might sneak in as my, oh no, because March I probably start the blue ribbon. It might be the March start. But I was very restrained when I bought this. I just bought one other thing, and that's because I was enjoying it so much. I decided to pick up another Mill Hill kit. So I got a Celebration Santa, and this one is the Merry Christmas Santa. Because I really love these ones. They're so fun to stitch. So that's it. That's, oh, a couple of other things. Vorna, I'm so sorry, butcher your name. Always talks about using Aileen's tacky glue. I've not found it before in the UK, but I happened to be wandering through Hobbycraft the other day and I found it. It's only a Diddy bottle, so it's much smaller than you probably get over in the States. But I thought I'd buy some and give it a go, because this seems to be the crafters recommended, and if it's good enough for Vorna, it is certainly good enough for me. And I was really inspired by what she did with her snow ball. And I have to say, I thought it was very similar, because I've had this in my stash for quite a long time. And this is, it's intended to put a photograph in there. And I bought it to put a small in, but I couldn't work out how to do it. So I never did anything with it. I think I opened it, took out the fake photo that they put in there, and that's as far as I've got. But now, having seen what she's managed to do with hers, I'm quite excited. I did actually have about 4 or 5 of these, but I think the rest of them I gave to the charity shop, because I was a bit like, oh well, I'll never be able to manage to do anything with it, so I'll get rid of it. But this one managed to hang around, so I'm going to keep hold of it for now. And just some other small quilty things that I've been doing. Again, I participated in the sale, but I've been doing lots of cutting. So I went through, again in my bid to get organised, I went through loads of stash. I'm looking over there because there's just a huge pile of fabric and stuff around my sewing machine. thinking about how I'm going to use things. So I think I'd shown some Halloween fabric, but it's all kind of cut up ready to go, and I think I'm going to do a 9 patch with that. And then I've got some kind of British themed kind of London fabric here as well, kind of corgi dogs, etc. That I'm going to do something with. I just need to kind of think. So I'm definitely going to do a full patch with this. I just might make this a bit bigger. I might just buy some plain fabrics to mix it up a little bit. Not entirely sure. But I've got a few things in there to work on. Sorry, I didn't mean to shake the camera. Oh, there is one final thing. So I had a giveaway on my channel. I think it was back in October. And I drew the winners in the December video, and that's about 8 weeks, 9 weeks ago. But I haven't been contacted, so I thought I've still got the stuff here. I've still got the names of people. So before I came on and recorded, I did random.org and I redrew it because I thought I want to send it on. I think actually 8 weeks is long enough for people to see if they've won, and I did go quickly yesterday or Friday I think it was. I thought, well, I better check my spam and things to see, because there's all the little tabs held for comment, etc. I've been through all of those. I can't see that I've had a comment from either of those people that won. So I got my book back out, I redrew it this morning, and I want to say congratulations to Sarah Marnie, because you have won the pattern, which is great because I know Sarah, so I know that I'll be able to get in contact with her. But 14 was your lucky number this morning. I did actually have to do it twice, because the first time I did it, it generated the same number as the original person who would have won. And I thought, well, they've not contacted me yet, so I'll have to do it again. So second time lucky, or third time lucky, it was Sarah, so number 14. So I'll get in I know how to get in contact with you, and if you don't know who I'm talking about with Sarah Marnie, you should, especially if you're in the UK, because she has, I believe you're on Etsy. Oh no, your card's over there. Sells DMC, has some fabric. I got my DMC little collector's tin from her. Yeah, well done, Sarah. I can I'll get in contact and sort out the details, because I can either post it to you, or I know that I'll be seeing you in April for the next retreat. So that's quite, if you want to hold on, but you don't have to. I'm quite happy to post it. So yeah, I think that's everything. That's my update for February. I don't know when I'll next do my videos. I'm a bit hit and miss, so I don't like to kind of say I will be back at the beginning of March, because it's already mid-February. February's a short month as it is, so in reality it might likely be more around end of March, April, unless there's something that comes up that I want to talk to you about, or want to join in with. So thank you for watching. I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to all of my long-term subscribers, and welcome to anyone who's new to my channel. This is pretty much the size of it. I'm always forgetting words. I hope there was a little bit more flow to how I did it, because if I take the time to lay it out, that generally works. And I think the lighting's fairly okay. And thank you for everyone who takes time to comment. I decided that this year I got completely behind with Flosstube, so I just kind of started randomly watching the videos. So anyone that came up in the column I'd watch a video, and anyone who was in the right hand column that I hadn't seen, I would just click on them and watch them. So I've been watching a few new people, and lots of people that have been around for a while, and yeah, really enjoy being part of this community. And if you're sitting at home thinking, oh, I'd kind of like to give this a go, but I'm not really sure, then I would encourage you to get out there. And my New Year's, not really New Year's resolution, because I kind of started it last year, but it was, I had a very interesting conversation with a colleague, and we were talking about kindness. And there was a research study that came out recently that was, and it looked at if a person experienced rudeness, they were much more likely to take that forward and be rude themselves. And not consciously maybe rude, but maybe just in the way that they interacted with the next people that they met. So it was this kind of like, it was almost catching. And we were talking about that because I think you see that all the time, and I see it in the work environment, you know, in terms of people being very busy, maybe not thinking about the way that they're communicating or speaking with each other, and being maybe coming across maybe a bit brash, or not stopping and paying attention to what's being told. And you can see how it kind of creates an atmosphere of, you know, not a bad atmosphere, but just not as pleasant as it potentially could be. So we were talking about the role of kindness, and how kindness fits into the job that we do. So I'm a nurse, and I work within education, supporting newly qualified practitioners. And I see a lot of the times with individuals, some of the stress that they're experiencing is because potentially people haven't been as kind to them as they could be. You know, that feeling that when you're new and your confidence potentially isn't where you want it to be, and that you're, you know, maybe you're struggling and feeling you have to ask them for questions and seeking a lot of support, and just not getting the response that you would want, you know, that kind of being treated with kindness, that it's okay actually when you're new not to know everything, and there is an expectation that you would come and ask me for, you know, questions and to seek support, and I should be giving that to you anyway, but it's perfectly acceptable for you to come and ask for that from me. So this whole concept of kindness. So I was thinking, oh, you know, how can I apply kindness more in my life generally? And that's what I've been working on this year, just trying to be, I guess, be a better person, or be the better person that I can be. I don't think that I was unkind, but I certainly could be kinder. And I thought, well, different aspects of my life, how can I apply that? And within Flosstube, what I'm really trying to work on is commenting on people's videos. So people have made an effort to do this, and I know how much effort it takes to actually take that 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it is, just to say, you know, thank you, maybe a comment, or at the very least just pressing the like button. And it's nice because actually you do that, and quite often people reply to you and say thank you, and you know, that kind of conversations, and things like being able to ask Nell about the fabric that she used and getting a response from that. I left a question for Priscilla and Chelsea, and they very kindly responded to it. Really kind of helps open up the community and start sharing. And I think that's the big thing you get out of being a part of this, is being a part of the kindness that exists out there. And with everything that's going on in the world at the moment, you can very easily forget that those small acts of kindness, that's much more common and more around us than you might think. I feel like I'm lecturing you now, but I didn't mean to. This is more about what I'm trying to do with my life. So hopefully you'll have seen a comment I've said about Nell, and I might have to go back and say thank you to her, because I don't know if I did. I was watching you while I was cooking in the kitchen, and I remember very clearly that I was doing garlic and I squeezed it, and you did get covered in garlic all over the screen. So I do apologise to you as well, but that's the dangers of me, because why I don't always comment, because I do watch, you know, in the kitchen when I'm cooking, when I'm doing the dishes. I've got 5 minutes somewhere, so I'll download a video and watch it while I'm on the go. But I'm really trying to change this year, and it's February the 18th, and I seem to be managing so far, so hopefully this will continue. Wow, that was a long spiel at the end. I might cut it out, I might not. Who cares? It's my video, hey? So thank you, and I shall see you soon. Bye.